The palace of the Lyrian Empire stretched high into the clouds, its crystalline towers gleaming under the alien sun. It was a place of strict order, legendary warriors and challenges designed to test the very limits of intelligence, strength, and skill. Princess Liara, the young royal, moved through the halls with grace, her eyes sharp and playful. She had grown bored of the endless tests of the alien elite warriors who, despite their power and training, seemed unable to satisfy her curiosity or her desire for excitement. Today was the day of the royal test, an event held once every generation. It was meant to select the one most worthy of assisting the royal family in a mission of utmost importance. Elite warriors from all corners of the empire had gathered, each confident that their strength, speed, or cunning would earn them the honor of serving Princess Liara. The first warrior stepped forward. He was a giant of a being, muscles rippling beneath golden armor. He moved with confidence, expecting an easy victory. The first challenge was a labyrinth filled with shifting walls, traps, and illusions. It was designed to test not just strength but quick thinking. The warrior stormed into the labyrinth, swinging his massive blade at anything in his path. He crushed walls, smashed traps, and moved with brute force. But the labyrinth was clever. Its walls shifted, opening and closing unexpectedly. A pit he had not noticed swallowed his foot, and a series of false corridors led him in circles. Hours passed, and finally, exhausted and frustrated, he emerged, beaten by the simple complexity of the test. The princess watched from above, raising an eyebrow. "Interesting," she murmured. "I thought he would last longer." One by one, the other warriors attempted the test. Each had their own skill, speed, agility, intelligence, tactical knowledge, but all failed. One misjudged a trap and fell into a hidden pit. Another solved a logic puzzle too slowly and triggered a barrier that blocked the exit. Each failure left Princess Liara both amused and increasingly impatient. She leaned on the balcony railing, her fingers tapping lightly, wondering if anyone could ever pass the test. By the evening, all the elite warriors had failed. Some were frustrated, others humiliated, and all were exhausted. The princess stood silently, contemplating the impossibility of the challenge. She had begun the tests with high hopes, imagining a worthy warrior standing before her. Now she realized no one had even come close. She let out a small laugh, the sound ringing lightly through the high ceilings. "Perhaps it is impossible," she said softly. Then, almost to herself, she added, "Maybe even a human janitor could do better." Her attendants, startled by the suggestion, exchanged nervous glances. Humans were a primitive species in her galaxy, known for their unpredictability and simplicity. They were rarely considered for important roles in alien society, much less royal missions. Yet Liara's words were light, playful, and carried no malice. She had made the comment half in jest, not expecting anyone to take it seriously. Late that night, as the palace halls emptied, a quiet figure moved among the towering columns and polished floors. Ethan, a human janitor, carried his cleaning supplies and worked diligently, unaware of the grand event that had consumed the palace earlier. His movements were methodical, his eyes scanning for dirt and debris, his mind focused on small tasks. The palace was enormous, and even a janitor had much to do. Princess Liara, curious and impulsive, decided to pay a visit. She found him polishing the floor near a corridor that led to the test hall. Without announcing herself, she appeared silently, her shadow falling over him. Ethan jumped slightly but quickly relaxed when he saw her smile. "You're awake late," she said, her voice melodic and teasing. "Do you ever sleep?" Ethan looked at her, surprised but polite. "I work until everything is clean, Your Highness. The palace is large and there's always more to do." Liara laughed softly. She had expected the janitor to be intimidated, but he remained calm, respectful, and focused. "Tell me, human," she said, stepping closer. "Do you think you could handle a challenge?" Ethan blinked. "A challenge?" "The royal test," she said, her tone playful. "All my best warriors have failed it. Maybe you can succeed." Ethan's jaw tightened in disbelief. "I'm just a janitor. I don't fight. I don't know alien technology." "Exactly," Liara interrupted with a grin. "You have nothing to lose. You might just surprise everyone." She pinched his shoulder lightly, a gesture both playful and symbolic. "Come on, let's see what you can do." For a moment, Ethan hesitated. This was madness. He had no training, no preparation, nothing to match the skills of elite alien warriors. But something in the princess's eyes, a mix of amusement and challenge, made him curious. He realized that he could either run away as any sensible human might, or he could try. Perhaps the test would teach him something. He nodded slowly. "I'll try," he said. Liara's smile widened. "Good, follow me." She led him through hidden corridors to the entrance of the test hall. The massive doors towered over them, inscribed with glowing alien symbols. Behind them, the labyrinth and puzzles awaited, designed to defeat even the most skilled warriors. Ethan stepped forward, feeling the weight of the challenge. He examined the hall carefully. The first obstacle was a series of shifting platforms suspended over a deep pit. Alien warriors had tried to leap across in impressive displays of strength, but most had fallen. Ethan watched the platforms for a moment. He noticed patterns in their movement and timing. Using his balance and patience, he stepped carefully, moving slowly but steadily. Step by step, he crossed the platforms without falling. Next was a wall embedded with strange symbols that needed to be pressed in a specific sequence to unlock a gate. Warriors had guessed, tried brute force, or relied on memorization. Ethan, however, studied the symbols and noticed subtle clues in their arrangement. He pressed them one by one, pausing to observe the effects. Slowly, methodically, the gate opened. He had solved the puzzle not through raw power, but by paying attention, observing, and using simple logic. Princess Liara watched from above, her amusement turning into genuine curiosity. She had expected a human to falter immediately, yet he advanced where her best warriors had failed. She leaned closer, studying his movements, noting his patience and cleverness. The next obstacle was a hall filled with traps, laser grids, retracting floors, and pressure-sensitive tiles. Most warriors had tried to rush through, relying on agility or reflexes. Ethan took a different approach. He observed the traps, noting patterns in their activation. He moved deliberately, adjusting his pace to the rhythm of the hall, stepping carefully where needed. One by one, he bypassed the dangers. Liara could hardly believe her eyes. The janitor moved with calm precision, his mind analyzing each threat, his instincts guiding his hands and feet. He was not the fastest or strongest, but he was clever, resourceful, and fearless in his own quiet way. Finally, he reached the last stage, a room with a complex puzzle that tested strategy and timing. It required moving objects, activating mechanisms in sequence, and avoiding hazards simultaneously. Previous warriors had failed repeatedly, their pride and overconfidence causing mistakes. Ethan paused, taking a deep breath. He used what he had learned from the previous stages: careful observation, patience, and logical thinking. He experimented cautiously, adjusted his strategy, and step by step solved the puzzle. The final mechanism clicked into place, and the room filled with light. The gates opened, signaling the completion of the test. Ethan stood there, breathing heavily but triumphant, a wide smile on his face. Liara descended from her observation point, her eyes sparkling with amazement. She approached him, still teasing yet unable to hide her admiration. "Well," she said, "I didn't expect this. A human janitor, passing the royal test where my finest warriors failed. Incredible." Ethan, still catching his breath, bowed politely. "I just tried to think carefully and stay calm. That's all. Simple yet brilliant," Liara said. "It seems your human ways have won where the best of my warriors could not. You may have just changed my view of your species entirely." Ethan could hardly believe it. A joke that had begun as a playful pinch and challenge had turned into a moment that would alter the course of his life. He realized that despite being ordinary in the eyes of the galaxy, humans had qualities that even the most elite aliens sometimes lacked: intuition, patience, and adaptability. Liara clapped her hands softly, her laughter echoing through the hall. "You've done what none expected. Perhaps it is time we reconsider how we view humans in this empire." She looked at him with a mischievous smile. "And I must admit I quite enjoy having a janitor as my champion." Ethan smiled, humbled and exhilarated. The palace, the challenge, and the princess herself had all changed his world. For the first time, he understood that even an ordinary human could rise to extraordinary heights when faced with challenges that required courage, creativity, and heart. That night, as the palace slept, Ethan returned to his duties, quietly cleaning the corridors with a new sense of pride. Princess Liara watched him from her tower, her playful laughter softening into thoughtful admiration. A human had succeeded where none thought possible, and in doing so, he had begun a story that would be remembered in the Lyrian Empire for generations. Ethan had barely caught his breath after completing the royal test when Princess Liara descended to meet him. The light in her eyes was different now, no longer just playful amusement but genuine curiosity and admiration. She moved gracefully through the hall, her footsteps silent yet commanding, and stopped just in front of him. Ethan straightened, unsure whether to feel nervous, honored, or incredulous. "Human," Liara said, her voice soft yet firm. "You have done what none of my elite warriors could. You passed the royal test not through brute strength, not through experience, but through cleverness, patience, and calm observation." She tilted her head, studying him closely. "Tell me, how do you do it? How do you face challenges without fear?" Ethan shrugged, trying to appear humble. "I just think about what I see. I don't rush. I try to understand the problem before I act. That's all." Liara laughed softly, a sound that echoed lightly through the palace halls. "Simple yet extraordinary. Perhaps the galaxy has underestimated humans for too long." She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Come, I want to show you something." She led him through winding corridors, past massive doors and glowing alien inscriptions. Ethan followed, still amazed at the grandeur of the palace. Even after years of working here, he had never seen such areas, reserved for the royal family and their most trusted advisors. Liara stopped before a large chamber filled with holographic displays and intricate machinery. "This," she said, gesturing broadly, "is where we plan our missions. Only those who have proven themselves are allowed inside. And now you are invited." Ethan blinked. "Me, I'm just a janitor. I don't belong here." "You passed a test no one else could," Liara said firmly. "Belonging isn't about rank. It's about ability, insight, and courage. You have all three. You may be my human champion." She said it jokingly at first, but there was a seriousness beneath her words that made Ethan pause. As they entered the chamber, holographic maps of distant star systems floated in the air. Liara tapped a few points with her hand and images of alien fleets and planets shifted accordingly. "These missions," she explained, "are vital for the security of the Empire. We face challenges that no single warrior can overcome. Strategy, intuition, and adaptability are more important than raw power. That is why I need someone like you." Ethan approached the display cautiously, fascinated by the technology. He had cleaned floors and corridors all his life, but never had he touched anything like this. A holographic projection of a planetary system floated in front of him. He studied the planets, noting their positions and orbits, and then looked at Liara. "If you approach from the outer planets first," he suggested, "you can avoid detection and reduce risk to your fleet. The inner defenses are strong, but they are predictable." Liara's eyes widened. She hadn't expected insight from a janitor. "Interesting," she murmured. "Your human perspective sees patterns my elite strategists have missed. Perhaps there is more to your species than I imagined." Over the next few days, Liara spent time showing Ethan the Empire's operations. She introduced him to advisors, scientists, and engineers, all of whom were initially skeptical of his presence. Yet as Ethan observed, asked questions, and offered simple, logical solutions, their doubts faded. His ideas were practical, grounded, and often overlooked by beings accustomed to relying on strength or advanced alien technology. One evening, as Ethan worked quietly in the strategy chamber, Liara approached him again. "You're different," she said softly. "Not like the others. You don't seek glory and you don't crave recognition. You just think and act." "It is refreshing," Ethan smiled shyly. "I just try to do what makes sense. I guess I'm lucky." Liara shook her head, a small smile playing on her lips. "Luck is part of it, but skill, patience, and insight are equally important. You've shown me that humans can surprise even the most advanced civilizations." Word of Ethan's success began to spread. Warriors who had once been arrogant and dismissive now watched him with a mixture of curiosity and respect. They had trained for decades, yet none had passed the royal test. And here was a human, someone they had considered weak and inexperienced, achieving what they could not. One day, Liara called Ethan to witness the next stage of the challenge, an alien simulation designed to test leadership and decision-making under pressure. The room was darkened, with holographic projections simulating fleets, planetary defenses, and unpredictable events. The simulation required quick thinking, careful observation, and creative problem-solving. Ethan studied the display, noting the positions of fleets and the timing of events. He realized that brute force would not work. Speed alone would not win. Instead, he relied on observation, predicting movements and adjusting strategy based on the patterns he noticed. When an alien fleet suddenly moved unexpectedly, he adapted, redirecting resources and outsmarting the simulated defenses. Liara watched silently, impressed. The elite warriors who had attempted this simulation had failed repeatedly, often making the same mistakes over and over. Yet Ethan moved calmly, analyzing, adjusting, and succeeding. His success was quiet but undeniable. After the simulation ended, Liara approached him with a mixture of awe and pride. "Human, you've done it again. Where others rely on strength, speed, or experience, you rely on thinking, observation, and intuition. You are extraordinary," Ethan shrugged. "I just try to understand the problem before acting. That's all." Liara laughed softly. "That is all. Yet it is enough to surpass even the finest warriors in the galaxy. I must admit, you have changed my opinion about humans entirely." The following week saw Ethan learning more about alien technology, customs, and strategy. He remained humble, never boasting about his accomplishments. Warriors who had once sneered at him now sought his advice, realizing that his perspective brought solutions they had overlooked. Even Liara's advisors, who had doubted him at first, began to respect his insights. One afternoon, Liara took Ethan to the palace gardens. The gardens were vast, filled with alien flora and softly glowing plants. Waterfalls tumbled into crystalline pools, and the air smelled faintly of exotic flowers. Liara smiled as she watched Ethan examine the plants, fascinated by their structure and function. "You notice details others might miss," she said, walking beside him. "It is a quality I admire. Humans see the world differently. Perhaps that is why you succeeded where my elite warriors failed." Ethan nodded. "I just pay attention. It seems simple, but it works." Liara laughed softly, shaking her head. "Simple indeed, yet extraordinary. You have proven that courage, curiosity, and intelligence can triumph over strength alone. You remind me that even the smallest, seemingly ordinary beings can achieve greatness." As the weeks passed, Ethan became more than just a janitor or a participant in a test. He became an advisor, a trusted companion to Princess Liara, and a symbol of human potential. He remained humble, never forgetting his roots, and his quiet courage inspired those around him. One evening, as they watched the twin suns set over the palace towers, Liara turned to him with a thoughtful expression. "Human, I once chose you as a joke, to see if you could survive a challenge meant to defeat the greatest warriors in the Empire. But now I see that choice was no joke. It was fate. You have shown me that humans, though simple in appearance, possess qualities that even the most advanced civilizations often lack." Ethan smiled, feeling both honored and humbled. "I never expected this," he admitted. "I was just doing my job, cleaning the palace and keeping things in order. I never thought it would lead to this." Liara reached out, lightly touching his shoulder. "It has led to this," she said softly. "And I suspect it is only the beginning. Together we may accomplish things that no one could imagine. Your human perspective, combined with our technology and knowledge, could change the galaxy." Ethan felt a sense of purpose he had never known before. He had started as a janitor, unnoticed and underestimated. Yet now he was a part of something greater, recognized not for his species or rank, but for his courage, intelligence, and perseverance. In the days that followed, Liara introduced him to more of the Empire's inner workings. He participated in strategy meetings, learned about alien technology, and offered solutions that no one else could see. Each time he succeeded, the Empire's warriors and advisors grew more respectful, and Ethan's confidence in himself grew as well. Through it all, Princess Liara remained by his side, a mix of playful teasing and sincere admiration guiding her actions. She continued to pinch his shoulder occasionally, a reminder of how their journey began, and a light-hearted symbol of their unique bond. Ethan laughed each time, remembering that it had all started as a joke, a playful pinch that led to something extraordinary. By the end of the month, the palace had changed. The elite warriors no longer looked down on humans. Advisors consulted Ethan's opinion before making decisions, and Princess Liara, once bored with her endless tests and challenges, now found genuine excitement and satisfaction in working with him. Ethan, the humble janitor, had become a hero in the eyes of the Empire, not because of strength, or rank, or alien superiority, but because of human ingenuity, patience, and courage. And as he stood beside Princess Liara, looking out over the palace towers toward the stars, He realized that even the simplest beings could achieve greatness when they dared to try. The palace, the empire, and even the